Mr. Pizza, no secret, koyamte chicken bus, dinner toste. Bayır bukhun bitinde bedin minni içini yedim toste Mr. Pizza. Hayda pizza. Khayri gams tuhtun pizza, khudra dishta khash mit pizza sakhangan, sache mit pizza taksangan. Tunna pizza, annaste pizza, amtet pizza, nedi toste no other pizza. I like pizza. We like pizza. We like pizza in the morning. We like pizza every day. We like pizza in the evening. We like pizza anyway.
Hey, I'm Tom Mealy from Waterhouse TV.
And I am Tommy Moore.
We are down here at Salvatore's Pizza. We're on Comag Road here, just south of
Grand Boulevard.
Boulevard. And I got to tell you, Tommy and I have had the opportunity of eating pizza from Montauk to Manhattan. Tommy, what makes this pizza so good?
Well, anybody that knows Italian food knows is all about the sauce, and that is what's so good about this place. We stumbled upon it. The man has treated us like gold. He makes the best sauce around. I'm telling you, it's unbelievable. And he makes things that no one else makes. I mean, and his items take a lot longer and a lot more care, and he
You know what
uses the
we're gonna
best
do?
products. So
Let's get Sal in here right now. We're going to ask him what makes his pizza the number one pizza that brings Madhouse TV to this restaurant at least 3 times a week. All right, Sal, tell us what makes your sauce keep bringing all the
Me.
folks from Madhouse TV back to it. Right into the mic here.
I think it's we use fresh ingredients, fresh tomatoes, a fresh oregano, fresh basil. What else do we do? I don't know. It's a secret. It's a good sauce. It's a sweet sauce, not too sweet, but
In Napoli, where love is king, when boy meets girl, here's what they say.
When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore. When the world seems to shine like you've had too much wine, that's amore. Bells will ring, ting-a-ling-a-ling, ting-a-ling-a-ling, and you'll sing Vita Bella. Hearts will play tippy-tippy-tay, tippy-tippy-tay, like a gay tarantella. When the stars make you drool, just like a pasta fazool, that's amore. When you dance down the street with a cloud at your feet, you're in love. When you walk in a dream, but you know you're not dreaming, signore. Scusa me, but you see, back in old Napoli, that's amore.
When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore.
That's amore.
When the world seems to shine like you've had too much wine, that's amore.
That's amore.
Bells will ring,
Ting-a-ling-a-ling,
ting-a-ling-a-ling.
and you sing Vita Bella.
Vita Bella, hearts will play.
Tippy-tippy-tay, tippy-tippy-tay, like a gay tarantella.
Tommy, we got to let's put a little pepperoni on there too. Tommy dropped the oregano, as you can see over here.
Stars make
Okay, let me have
you
an intro.
drool just like pasta fazool, that's amore.
That's amore.
Put it around
When
there.
you dance down the street
Put it around the edges.
with a cloud at your feet, you're in love. When you walk
I get that multa, not so much.
in a
Only make it half and half because I don't like
but
I don't like a lot of
you
stuff like that.
know
You putting mushrooms on there? Sal, you keep doing what you got to do. Listen, your pies are outstanding. We love them. If somebody wants to order a pie, give us a phone number.
586-1771.
Okay. And the address here?
348 Comac Road, Deer Park. Long Island.
Obviously. Hey, listen, guys. Seriously, all kidding aside, Tommy and I have had the opportunity of had pizzas all over Long Island into the boroughs. We've been to the Bronx, we've been to Brooklyn, but I have to tell you, we will never endorse an item unless we fully believe in it. And this pizza here is the best here on Long Island. Check them out on the web. Come down to the store, give them a call, order a pie today.
There's a power for good in the universe. It will lift your life to its highest level. It brings success, happiness, companionship, health, and peace of mind. As you tap into this power, it will respond to you because this power is within you. And that's why spirituality rocks. Welcome. I'm your host, Janine Burns. Delighted to be with you this week because I have a very exciting show for you. At Spirituality Rocks, we teach New Thought spiritual principles. New Thought teaches there is one ultimate loving energy in the universe. It's present in all that exists. You can call it whatever you're comfortable with. God, spirit, infinite intelligence, source, divine love. This is not a personality that is outside of us, but rather a presence that is within us. And we are inherently spiritual beings having a human experience. New Thought is a spiritual philosophy that teaches the divine power of God. This is alive within us, and that our thoughts and attitudes affect our life experiences. And New Thought is the spiritual denomination that encompasses many sister organizations, including the affiliated New Thought Network, the Centers for Spiritual Living, Unity, Divine Science, Universal Foundation for Better Living, and the Centers for Spiritual Awareness. All these centers teach the same fundamental principles, that we co-create with God, and that our thoughts create our realities, and that when we align our thoughts with the perfection of God, that we can heal sickness, we can break free from lack and limitation, and we can choose a way of living that is joy-filled and powerful. So New Thought teaches that we live in an abundant, unlimited universe, and that within us lies all the wisdom and love and power needed to create a full and joyous and peaceful, productive and prosperous life experience. And so as spiritual beings having a human experience, we naturally have a spiritual essence. And so then all the intelligence and all the power and all the love and all the peace and all that creativity is constantly available to us. This is the truth of us. And fulfillment then is our divine birthright. So then how do we turn on and tune into this power? Well, probably the most significant way is through meditation and affirmative prayer, or what is called spiritual mind treatment. Both my guests today are well versed in meditation and spiritual mind treatment. We have with us today on Skype Dr. John Waterhouse, and he wrote the book 5 Steps to Freedom. And he is the president of the Centers for Spiritual Living. And in the studio today, we have the Reverend Karen Giganti, who is a practitioner with the Centers for Spiritual Living. She is also the owner of Sacred Spaces, and she does decorative paintings. And so what I have for you today, we'll be talking about spiritual mind treatment after our commercial break. But before that, I have for you today is my spiritual prescription pad, and I am offering you a spiritual prescription for free. All you need to do is send a self-addressed stamped envelope to, and write on it Spiritual RX to Post Office Box 472 in Woodbury, New York. And this is a lot of fun. I use this, for instance, if I do hospital work or if I'm doing spiritual coaching. I will give someone a spiritual prescription, and it's based on an actual prescription pad that an MD would give you. And what I like about it is the bottom where I wrote, the prescription will be filled by the power of spirit within. Of course, refills are unlimited. And it says, caution, do not contaminate with negative thoughts. On the back of the spiritual prescription, it talks about affirmative prayer, spiritual mind treatment, and what it is. It actually gives you a prayer where you can insert whatever particular good you choose to experience in your life. I'm happy to send this to you free. And if you want me to write you a spiritual prescription, send me a little sticky pad or send me a little note that says the topic that you want for your prayer. So again, you just send that. There's no charge, but you have to send a self-addressed stamped envelope to Spiritual RX, Post Office Box 472, and that is in Woodbury, New York, 11746. I also want to tell you about this CD, Tunes for Transformation. As we go into the bumper, you'll hear one of the jingles. This is based on when I used to regularly give inspirational talks. I would teach the people affirmations, positive statements of truth, set in the present tense, and so that they would remember them and remember the theme of the talk I was giving, I'd set them to music. This CD is a lot of fun. There's a dance tune, there's reggae, there's all sorts of types of music. And it's on sale at tunesfortransformation.com. It's only $12, and that includes shipping. And so we keep the fee really low so that you can easily obtain this and use it and work with this. I've gotten a lot of good reports from this. And also it's endorsed by Deepak Chopra, who said, Dr. Burns delivers powerful affirmations in a fresh new way to uplift, inspire, and create positive change. So I encourage you to pick that up. And I encourage you to stay tuned because right after this break, we have the inspirational and dynamic John Waterhouse, who's the president of the Centers for Spiritual Living, the author of 5 Steps to Freedom. And in our studio, we have the Reverend Karen Giganti, who is a practitioner at the Center for Spiritual Living, Hicksville, Long Island. And of course, she is a decorative painter with Sacred Spaces. So stay tuned for more of Spirituality Rocks.
Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely guided. Peacefully, joyfully, I follow my inner guidance. Peacefully, joyfully, I am divine.
On Saturday night, October 19th, Act One Entertainment Net coordinates 6 Long Island venues with over 30 bands that will participate in Banding Together Against Animal Abuse, a fundraising event benefiting Save a Pet Rescue and Adoption Center in Port Jeff. Hosting these simultaneous multi-venue unique events will be the Blue Parrot Lounge in Massapequa, Candy's Magic Pub in Shirley, Grumpy Jack's in Port Jeff, Bobby Q in Patchogue, Hotel Fish in Hampton Bays, and The Hub in Island Park. For more info, call the Act One office at 631-758-3505.
Like so many people, are your finances tight lately? Afraid to open your mail or even answer your phone? Well, take heart. You don't have to live like that. If you're 62 or older and own your own home, you can join the thousands of folks who have used safe and effective government-insured reverse mortgages. The government-insured reverse mortgages from Long Island's Senior Reverse Network allow you to stay in your home and turn equity into tax-free cash. Our government-insured reverse mortgages can eliminate mortgage payments, credit card balances, or just improve your lifestyle. Do yourself a favor and solve these problems now. Call the Senior Reverse Network, and our advisors will answer all of your questions about our reverse mortgage programs. We've helped scores of senior Long Island homeowners like you who now enjoy a worry-free retirement. Get the financial security and peace of mind you've dreamed about. Pick up the phone and call us at the Senior Reverse Network now to set up a free consultation.
Call 1-800-985-REVERSE. That's 1-800-985-7383.
You know you already want a Toyota, but when you want more from your Toyota store, you want Smithtown Toyota, where every Toyota comes with Smithtown Toyota's Toyota for Life program, giving you lifetime New York State inspections, lifetime 10% discounts on all parts and service, 2 years of complimentary oil changes, 2 years of scheduled maintenance, and more, all at no cost to you, plus low clear-out deals on every Toyota in stock. Get more from your Toyota store. Hurry to Smithtown Toyota.
Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely guided. Peacefully, joyfully, I follow my inner guidance. Peacefully.
Welcome back to Spirituality Rocks. I'm your host, Janine Burns, delighted to be here today with you. I'm an interfaith chaplain. I provide spiritual services on behalf of the Guiding Light Foundation, and I teach New Thought spiritual principles. I am thrilled with my guests today. We have on Skype Dr. John Waterhouse, the president of the Centers for Spiritual Living. He is the author of 5 Steps to Freedom. And in studio, we have the Reverend Karen Gigante, and Karen is with the Centers for Spiritual Living, and that's over in Hicksville, Long Island, New York. And so what I want you to know is today we're going to be focusing on science of mind. It's a spiritual, philosophical, and metaphysical teaching within the New Thought movement. It was established in 1927 by Dr. Ernest Holmes, and he defined it as the correlation of the laws of science, the opinions of philosophy, and the revelations of religion as applied to human needs and the aspirations of man. And we want to focus on this today because that's the particular domination of my guest. And so welcome to Spirituality Rocks, Dr. John Waterhouse.
Hi, Dr. Janine. It's good to be here.
Please call me Janine. Pleasure to have you with us on Skype. And I understand you're in Colorado right now.
I am. I'm in Golden, Colorado at the headquarters of Centers for Spiritual Living.
Good. Fantastic. And Karen, welcome.
Thank you. Very delighted to be back.
Nice to have you back.
Yeah.
And so let's just jump right in here. I love this book, 5 Steps to Freedom. If you don't have this book, you need to pick this book up. You can get it on Amazon. It is fantastic. What I love about it is there's so many nuggets in here, and there's actually techniques in teaching spiritual mind treatment, which is also known as affirmative prayer. John gives us exercises to do to expand our awareness and our consciousness to help us along the process of learning to write spiritual mind treatment. So John, tell us, what is spiritual mind treatment?
Well, it was Dr. Ernest Holmes that coined the phrase spiritual mind treatment or mental treatment. The idea of that concept is affirming what I think. I believe that all prayer or all thinking is prayer. And if the idea of doing affirmative prayer work would mean that your thinking is very clear, it's very well directed, and that it kind of builds on itself. That's why there's 5 steps. Each step complements and creates a pathway to the next step. And out of that, you get the results that you want because you've trained your thinking. You become a disciplined thinker, and that thinking is what directs as what we call the law. But truly it's the presence of the divine that captures that thought and reveals it to us in physical form.
Well, that was succinct.
Yes. I don't know how much more I can add to that.
Well, what I love about what you just said is that so many of us get ensconced in monkey mind. You know, our mind goes up and down and here and there and over and over and over. And so this is a systematic way of thinking. Right. It's a way to discipline the mind. And one thing that Dr. John said in the book here, he said that when the power within us is revealed and released, we are absolutely free to live our lives to the fullest potential. How fantastic is that right now? Especially when you read news reports and the economy is failing and people don't have jobs and there's big changes coming, you know, in the government, etc., with the new laws. And so that we are free to live our lives to the fullest potential.
Well, you change your thinking, you change your life. This is what we teach in New Thought and Science of Mind. And so with affirmative prayer, spiritual mind treatment, we are convincing ourselves. We're not convincing God. We're convincing ourselves of the truth that we would like to see show up in our lives. So if we're distracted by what I call the lower thinking of the world, the fear, the limitations, and we buy into all of that, we are actually, that becomes our prayer, because that's where we're putting our focus, and that's what we're agreeing with. So that's what is being mirrored back to us in our experience. So when we understand and are open to the philosophy of science of mind and really discipline ourselves to do spiritual mind treatment, which is that affirmative prayer, stating affirmatively what it is we'd like to see happen, we see how our lives
begin to change.
Yes.
In a dramatic
yes.
way. Well, you know what I really liked here is when you said the power is revealed and released. Revealed and released. Take it away, John.
Well, that idea came to me many, many years ago. First of all, you have to know the power's there. And so it has to be revealed to you that what you're thinking has inherent within itself a power. It has a power because it initiates action. In fact, I believe that thought is the first level of creation. And that when we create that thought, and then we stay with that thought must create beyond just the idea of it. It must create into physical form. Now, that everything about the universe was thought into existence. And through that process, you have to know that your thoughts have that power. That's the revelation part. Right. And then once you have that power and you know it, you simply let it go and let it be what it can be. It's not really a physical release as much as a conscious release, because it's not our job to know how things are to turn out. Our job is to know what is being called into our lives. What is it that we are knowing is true about our lives, and then acting completely from that place of knowing. If we do that, then it shows up. And we don't have to know how it's going to show up. We simply know that it's there. And what we do almost naturally is exactly the opposite. When it doesn't show up or we don't know how it's going to show up, we worry about it. We think it's not going to show up, that we can't have this thing, that we're not good enough, that we're not smart enough, that we're not old enough or young enough or whatever it is. And we let all those ideas take over. And when they take over, that's what you get in result. As a result, you get the thing that you didn't want. Or you don't get the thing that you do want, which is as much a manifestation of our thought as anything else. The question is, are we disciplined enough to know what is coming to us, what we are going to have in our lives, what's going to be right now? Can we do that, or are we caught up in the idea that maybe it can't or maybe it won't?
Exactly. Now, I just want you to know that one time there that the... Oh, we're having a little feedback. We're having a little feedback, and that's probably with the Skype. But if you see me raise my hand, John, I know you're over in Colorado. It's because it blurbed out, and so you just pause for a second. But what I loved about what you said is that you said we need to allow. We need to allow the power to do its work. And sometimes we start stressing and straining and fussing, and then we literally cancel out the affirmative prayer, right?
Because all thought is creative. So not just the positive thoughts. After we say our spiritual mind treatment, and then if we start thinking, well, I don't think it'll work, and cook up a bunch of reasons why we're worried and go back to the problem, we're just inviting more. We're giving life to that. We're inviting that back into our experience.
Right, and I want to talk about that more in a moment, because that's a critical point. But I want to say two things. One is that I can remember years ago when one of my students was treating for rent money. And she needed money for rent. She needed $500. Oh, this was a long time ago. This was probably 15, 20 years ago. And her aunt gave her a check for $500 and said, I don't know what's going on. I was going to give you a check for $5,000 to help you with your education, but something just kept in my head. It just kept nudging me to give you $500, so here it is. So she basically was limiting herself.
Yeah.
And so that's what I want to say is that in the beginning of the book, when we talk about step one, recognition, John talks about how understanding this power, and it's unlimited. The power can do anything. And we're too busy using our senses and, going by the laws of physics, whereas power can do anything. John?
You're absolutely right. We limit our thoughts based on the way we experience life through our senses. I've always believed that if you think you can, or you think you cannot. Either way, you're right.
Exactly.
Whatever you think is the way it's going to turn out.
Exactly.
And how many times have we said, I knew it was going to be that way? And the reason we knew it was because we took the thought and put it into the law, put it into life, and it reflected back to us exactly the way we expected it to.
Right.
So if you want to fail in life, worry. That's the best way to fail. If you want to live a limited life, then think small, because that's what you're going to create. But when we step out of the container, when we step out of the limitations of what we've done before and what we think we can do now, when we step beyond that, what shows up is something greater, something more wonderful than we imagined. And I've seen this happen over and over and over again.
Yeah. And, so it's all about possibility thinking.
Yes.
Stretch your consciousness, expand to a new idea. You know what I wanted to do was read in the beginning of the book, John wrote, as we begin this journey, I offer you a short and simple affirmation that expresses the essence of freedom I seek to reveal. And he said, these words help me to remember what is truly meaningful in life. And he said, I invite you to read it several times and allow it to move through you. It's fantastic. It goes like this. I live in a world created by love. Love is what I am. In all I think and say and do, love is what I am. Before me, behind me, around me, inside me, love is what I am. I'm filled overflowing and clear in my knowing, love is what I am. That's all I can do not to sing it, John. I read this in the past few days and I was singing, before me, behind me, around me, inside me, love is what I am. I'm filled overflowing and clear in my knowing, love is what I am. I love to sing prayers and affirmation because then they swim around in your brain and then the negativity doesn't trap you.
Nothing else can get in.
Yeah, nothing else can get in. So let's jump to the first step in treatment, which is recognition. And in the book, the way John started is recognition is recognizing the presence of spirit. And there's a part here that says, imagine for a moment that you are the creator of the universe. How would you go about creating? You certainly could create something outside of yourself, which would then you'd be able to observe it, and then having observed it, you could interact with it and manipulate it. And he said that this perception of the creative process is easy to understand and accept because it reflects on our own human nature. But then it goes on to talk about that when we talk about God, that the Bible says that man was created in the image and likeness of God. However, we have had the perception that God mirrors our image and likeness.
Exactly.
And this is how we've ended up with an anthropomorphic God, right, John?
Well, absolutely. It was the great philosopher Spinoza that said, if a triangle could describe the divine, it would describe it as a triangle. So it's not unusual that human beings would describe God in human terms. That's what we understand with our limited perceptions living on planet Earth. But the truth is that the divine is something much greater than that, far beyond our true understanding. So trying to understand the divine is a wonderful pursuit, but it's not an end. You can't get to the place where you fully understand what God is. You can continue to pursue it your entire lives, as so many people have done, and make that your calling if you want. But you'll never be able to wrap your mind around what the presence is. So the idea here is that continue to pursue it always, every time that you do a prayer. Spend part of that early moment in the prayer imagining what God is. Imagining how enormous and how powerful that presence is. And that's your starting point, to try to move every time you open your mouth and speak words in a prayerful state, that you're able to do that and get a little bit closer to that understanding. Not a little bit closer to God, because God is not apart from you. It's not in another place. What you're doing is you're getting a greater understanding of that presence. That's the work.
Exactly.
Yeah. Instead of limiting God to our image, as if God was a man that has the same types of personality traits that we all have, that's getting mad, that may or may not grant us a favor, that may withhold something. That is totally not what God is. God is just that, like you were saying, love, that infinite love that's just giving whatever it is we're asking for. So it depends. If we're asking for good, for health, for joy, that will be our experience. And when we're not, we're going to get that because God will only give us what we're asking for. It's not a matter of God's withholding or, mad at us or God's will or any of that stuff. It's just that infinite love that's going to give you what you want.
The infinite
and that
givingness.
was, that was a big breakthrough for me to understand that point because it wasn't the God that I grew up with.
Right.
And so this has been a wonderful awakening and brought so much more joy into my life when I understood.
When you had that realization, yeah.
Exactly.
And, when John was saying about every time we pray and we talk about what is God? God is love. God is peace. God is power. God is all-knowing.
And we're praying all the time.
Well, we're praying all the time. Yes, we are, without a doubt. And he addresses that in the book. Every thought is a prayer. And then, you said here that God is omnipresent. God is omniscient. We also know that God is omniaction. And God is omnipotent. And one of my favorite lines in the whole book, and my book is all dog-eared and painted up, is Spirit is the cosmic glue that forms galaxies into patterns. Spirit is the cosmic glue. John, I love that.
I actually got that idea from a shaman.
Oh.
There was a shaman that was talking about the divine presence and suggested that one of the things that our scientists do not understand is what is it that holds it all together? What keeps electrons and protons and neutrons from just floating apart? What is it that holds them together? And this shaman suggests it's love. It's love that holds it together.
Say that.
So if that's so, then that presence of the divine as love is everywhere. It is the glue that holds all form together. It is what makes it stable. And if that's true, and we connect with that idea, with that sense of the presence being so omnipotent, so omnipresent, that it is always there, then that changes the whole relationship. It's not that I can give you love, it's that I can recognize the love that you are. It's not that I can take your love, it's that I can be open to who you are and to celebrate that and to have my sense of who you are bloom within me, and that feels so wonderful, and we call it love as though we can broker it. It's not about brokering, it's about knowing. When we become aware of the presence of the divine, it shows up as love.
Woohoo! Well, on that note, on that juicy and delicious idea, we'll take a commercial break and we'll be right back with Dr. John Waterhouse, the president of the Centers for Spiritual Living, and the Reverend Karen Giganti of the Center for Spiritual Living in Hicksville. So stay tuned for more of Spirituality Rocks.
Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely guided. Peacefully, joyfully, I follow my inner guidance. Peacefully, joyfully, I am.
On Saturday night, October 19th, Act One Entertainment Net coordinates 6 Long Island venues with over 30 bands that will participate in Banding Together Against Animal Abuse, a fundraising event benefiting Save a Pet Rescue and Adoption Center in Port Jeff. Hosting these simultaneous multi-venue unique events will be the Blue Parrot Lounge in Massapequa, Candy's Magic Pub in Shirley, Grumpy Jack's in Port Jeff, Bobby Q in Patchogue, Hotel Fish in Hampton Bays, and The Hub in Island Park. For more info, call the Act One office at 631-758-3505.
I think this is a good time to tell you. You're doing okay, Mom. I can call you Mom, right? I know we haven't known each other very long, but you seem like a real keeper. You're not perfect. There was that strained carrots incident, but you're trying. You pick up my bottle every time I toss it out of my stroller. That's high comedy to an 8-month-old. You hum the Barber of Seville when you wash my hair. So cool. And your rub-downs are out of this world. Anyway, I want you to know how much I appreciate you. You know, right? How much I love you? You're doing okay, Mom.
Stop the truck! Stop the truck! Thank you.
Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely guided. Peacefully, joyfully, I follow my
Welcome back to Spirituality Rocks. I'm your host, Janine Burns. Delighted to be here with you this week, and I want to thank you so much for telling all your friends about Spirituality Rocks. We had the statistics in, and thousands of people are viewing this show, and we are thrilled because our goal is to turn people on to New Thought spiritual principles. And one thing I like about New Thought, John and Karen, is that so many people say things like, who knew there was a philosophy that believed what I naturally believe,
Yes.
right? So
you already know this.
you already know this. It's
already know it.
natural. So I just want to thank you so much. And the show is live. This show with John is live on madhousetv.com under Spirituality Rocks for a week. And then it's also will be archived on YouTube after the show. You can go to YouTube at any time and see the show again. And we're going to jump right in now. And we are on the second step of treatment, which is unification, identification. I like to call it identification because when you identify with spirit, then you know who you are, and you're talking about your spiritual power. And what you wrote in the book is that which powers our very existence is spirit. It says, who are you? And this question forms the foundation for the second step of spiritual mind treatment. So, John, let's talk briefly about spirit expressing and experiencing, expressing in us, through us, and as us, please.
Sure, that's all that we can do, and that's all that God does, is express and experience, express and experience. Everything is one of those two things. And what I've found is that people are pretty good with getting the awesomeness of the divine presence and getting a sense of how enormous and how endless it is and how we can't really wrap our minds around it. And that's who you are. And people go, no, that can't be.
Say that
I've made
again.
all these mistakes in my life. I've done all these things that were wrong. I can't be part of God.
Okay.
But the fact is that everyone exists within that unity of spirit. We all do. And when we can accept that and begin to embrace it and embody it, it changes everything. It means that we are not separate. We aren't, and neither is anybody else. It means that when I'm in a conversation with you, that's God having a conversation with God. And that everything that expresses into life comes from God, and everything that is experienced comes from God. So there's no other direction. There's nothing else to be or to do. But once you can actually embrace and embody the idea of being that divine presence in your life, everything looks different, and everybody else looks different. And there's no longer any enemies. There's no longer any sense that something could happen that would that would deal with us in a small way, because we're not small. We may have bodies that seem small walking around on planet Earth, but the truth is we are massive in our essence of who we are. And when we begin to embrace that, life changes. Life changes in that we are no longer looking at our little selves, we're looking at our awesome selves, and it changes the role.
Our awesome selves. I like
Yes.
that.
Well, that's how God knows itself, through us, lives through us, as us. And so I always teach my clients that you're not serving yourself or this planet by playing small,
right.
And saying, well, not me, because I did this, or I'm not whatever, I'm not old enough, smart enough. You, by stepping out of the box and allowing spirit to just have a bigger, greater experience of itself, you're serving yourself and spirit
exactly.
at the same time. So.
Exactly. And you know what I liked here, and John, we're having a little technical difficulties, but we're good now, but every once in a while.
It's all good.
It's all good, okay? It's all good.
Okay.
I love the example you gave, as a wave is to the ocean.
Yes.
And so as a wave is the ocean, you gave in the book, we are one with God. And what you wrote is the wave is an expression of energy within the flow and function of the ocean. So then we are an expression of spirit, God, infinite intelligence, whatever you choose to call the power, within the flow and function of that power. And the words are even true, the flow and function that are appropriate too. Now we need to keep jumping on, because what we're going to do is go over to step 3. Declaration, affirmation, and realization. Now, I've had people contact me. A lot of people are into Joel Osteen. I don't know if you know, Joel Osteen's daddy was good friends with Howard Caesar. And Howard Caesar is a well-known unity minister over in Texas. And so you'll hear Joel on the TV say, I declare. And so, in New Thought, we often say, I affirm. But the third step is declaration, affirmation, or realization, whatever you choose to call it. And what that is, as John writes in the book, applying the truth. John?
It is absolutely that. Now, that's the reason you do a prayer. You've got something that you want to resolve, something that's unclear, something that's incomplete, something that is downright wrong in your mind. Where you want to get to is this third step, but think about where you've come from. You've come from the idea that all there is God. Everything that is, and beyond that, exists in that divine presence, as that divine presence. And then we understand that that's who we are. So we speak with the authority into this third step. And by speaking with the authority of the divine, we are declaring, we are decreeing, we are affirming, and most of all, we are realizing that this thing that we have this idea we need or we want is already so. It already exists. It's already there. Now, we may not be able to see it yet, but it's already there, because every possibility, every potential of life already exists. And all we're doing is calling it out into the open so that we can see it. Exactly. So we do the work as though we can already see it, already touch it, taste it, smell it, know it. And with that deep understanding of whether it's a healing of our bodies, whether it's a relationship, whether it's having the right job or driving the right car or living in the right house or being at peace with our neighbors, whatever it is, if we know it in that third step as already so, then it's so. The universe responds completely in kind. If we say it's so, the universe will demonstrate that to us, back into our reality. That's the nature of this whole relationship with the divine.
The universe responds by corresponding to our thoughts, Karen.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So the purpose of step 3 in the book, it says that, for instance, you have a health issue. Then you are to know that excellent, vibrant health, a natural state of being for all things, is your natural state.
Yes.
Or let's say that you're seeking to heal a relationship. We'll know that joy, peace, understanding, and respect, consideration, these are natural states of being. And so this is how you identify that in this particular step. Now the next step in treatment, wait a minute, I'm jumping fast. I got a lot of green ink on these pages. Wait a minute, let's just hold up one here. I love this, is that you do the chart. There's a chart that's given in Science of Mind. We said, of course, Science of Mind is the philosophy is a spiritual, philosophical, and metaphysical teaching within the New Thought movement. And they use a chart to explain the descent of spirit into form. And so it's a circle. At the top is spirit, and there's an arrow going down. Spirit working through the law forms in the manifest universe, or what is known as body. And so it says here, universal law is the unseen means by which the creative process progresses from an initiating spark into physical form. So the initiating spark is the thought. And then it goes through the law. I see you shaking your head, Karen.
Yeah,
Talk about
I
that.
absolutely
The law.
agree. That the law is another word for spirit. It's just...
Well, no, actually, well, just to be really
love.
clear, love is another word for spirit, but law is the action of spirit.
Yes,
Right,
the
okay.
action, yeah. But,
well, you know me, I try to be real precise.
Yes, I know. Yeah, so exactly what, you're saying is, that's the way life works, and this philosophy also is, I want everyone to understand one other thing, is that this is the wisdom of the ages. This is found in all teachings if you dig deep enough. I don't care who you talk to, when you have this conversation, people realize that this is the truth. It's the truth. The truth, it may show up in different forms or different philosophies, but it's the same thing. That when you are placing your attention on something, when you're agreeing with something and allowing it, that is how we have that experience, that manifestation into our lives. And it can work for you or against you. You're doing it all the time, whether you realize it or not.
We're constantly using the power. On page 41 of the book, this is spectacular. I think this is so succinct and clear. As a thought comes to your mind, you, parentheses, spirit, are simultaneously directing the ever-constant, ever-consistent mechanism of subjective mind, which is the law, into action. And then you bring into physical form, which is known as body, that which is equivalent to your original thought. Now, this goes back to where we don't say how spirit is going to show up. Like, let's say...
We don't outline.
We don't outline. So let's say we want a home. We want a home.
Right.
And so then we'd say, okay, we'd do the steps in treatment, but we would describe what a home represents. A home represents peace. It represents security. It represents joy, etc. And so then we would say then that the ever-consistent mechanism of the law brings into physical manifestation. John, this book is just fantastic. I love where you said that the law's only job is to take the impress of the thought we place on it and bring the thoughts into experiential physical form.
Exactly right. And what we do with that is we focus on the qualities we want, focus on what it feels like, focus on what our experience is of it. And when we do that, that's what comes back to us. So as Karen was saying, we don't outline, meaning we don't say it's going to be that car or that house or even that person. We say that we're going to be, that we are in relationship with someone that is loving and honorable and kind and integrous and the things that we desire. We don't say it's going to be Linda or Bill.
Right.
We don't do that because that limits the whole idea of what spirit is and how it works. So we don't hold back on what we want to experience, except that we leave it to the divine to fill the order. To fill the order that we create by having our thoughts so clear.
Right, because if
and we never, ever, ever do a treatment and do a third step where we say what we don't want.
Oh, no,
if
no,
we
no.
focus on what we don't want, we're giving more energy to what we don't want. So I believe that when Holmes said turn away from the condition, he was talking about this third step and not giving it a power by talking about how terrible it is and how much we don't want it and we wish it would go away. Because when we do that, we're actually strengthening its presence in our reality.
Of the negative. And I'd like to jump to the next step in treatment, which is gratitude and acceptance. We're getting a little feedback there. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe if I talk softer. Do you hear that feedback? You don't hear it on air? Sorry about that. Oh, wait, we don't say sorry in New Thought because I am not sorry. Whatever we say, I am.
Everything's in divine order.
Everything's in divine order. That's what I want to say because I am is the nature of God in me.
That's right.
So I always want to connect to those two words, the absolute spiritual truth. John, the Skype bleeped out before when you were talking about feeling. So I want to bring that back, that idea you were saying, and I want to link it to gratitude and acceptance. I always say
that's the perfect place to do it.
Yeah.
You move into that fourth step of gratitude. What you're doing is you're bringing forth the emotional experience of what you want. And the little thing that I say to my students is that you're not being grateful because it's the appropriate cultural activity that we expect people to be grateful. That's not the point of this. This is because we are only grateful for what we have. We're only grateful for things we've already received. If you think about it, you don't say thank you for something you don't have yet. If you say thank you to someone that's going to bring you something, what you're being thankful for is that they agreed to bring it to you, and then you say thank you to them. But then when you get the thing that you got, you say thank you. And the reason you do that is because your mind says, when I get the thing that I like, I say thank you. So what we're doing in the treatment is we're kind of tricking our subjective mind that we already have it. You know, we're saying that we have it, we're knowing that we have it, and now we're saying thank you for it. And that just kind of seals the fate. It's the icing on the cake. This is mine. This is my experience. This is my outcome. This is the result. And I have it now.
Exactly.
And what that does is it changes the dynamics in a way to go ahead and let you be ready to let it go, so that whatever the universe is conspiring to create out of that, it will create in a great and glorious way.
Absolutely. And I love to say feeling is the fuel that propels thought into manifestation. So feeling is the fuel that propels your affirmative prayer into manifestation. Now, you know, you know what, we have just a few minutes left, so let's jump to release, and then we're going to have you do an affirmative prayer for us. So releasing is receiving. We do not need to get involved with figuring out how. That is not our spiritual responsibility. And in the book, John wrote, "How is none of your business." Tell us more, John. How is none of your business?
Well, because the thing that you would say how is only by the means that you know. So a lot of people would say the only way that I can have more money in my life is if my boss gives me a raise. What a limited idea. But that's what we know. So we say, I want my boss to give me a raise. And we stay in the how of it, and we don't get where we want to go. Whereas if we say, I live an abundant life, and money comes to me naturally, and I have checks that show up in all kinds of ways, I have people that give me gifts, I have opportunities to do things that are incredibly flowing and wonderful in my life, that's a very different idea. So we don't get into the how. We just know that something wonderful is going to happen, and this thing that we are seeing so clearly as being an element of our life is already here. How it got here doesn't matter. We can't possibly know all the possible ways that it could happen. All we know is that it's here. And when we know it's here, the universe responds in kind.
And the universe will respond in kind. And so it is our job then to keep our thoughts focused. And that's why we take time every single day to do affirmative prayer. We take time every day to quiet down the body and meditate, because this is powerful stuff. Let's just end with the power of letting go, and then you can do our treatment for us. John, the power. I love what you said, because people talk about, oh, let go, and I let God, and I'm not sure if they really get that. But you spoke about the power of letting go. Tell us more, please.
Well, the idea is that we think we have to control how it's going to turn out.
Right.
There's no power in that.
Right.
There's only power in our completely allowing the universe to respond in kind to our thought. Our work is at the level of the thought. And when we do that clearly, when we spend our time in spiritual practice, when we do our treatment work, our prayer work, and see so clearly the outcome that we are claiming, then we are doing the work. That's where the power is. There is no power in the how. Now, we still have to move forward in our lives. We still have to get up in the morning and go to work or do what we do, and we have to move forward. We can't sit on the couch eating bonbons expecting all of the ideas of spirit to manifest into our living room. I mean, and someone said that that's a limiting thought, but that's what works for me, is that I not only do my prayer work and my treatment work, but then I get up and I take action in my life and move forward. The thing that happening into my life, and by doing that, I create a bullseye on myself so that thing knows exactly where to come, because I'm ready. and I'm able to work with it when it shows up. So if I have a big plan, a big idea for my life, my work is to be clear about that plan and to make the phone calls and to do the due diligence with it, but at the same time be open to any possibility, or be open to it happening from any direction. And when we do that, life shows up in a big way.
Fantastic. We often say treat and move your feet, and that's what you said in the book here, that you're releasing the creative process into full expression. That spirit can do anything. You're creating the space in which your manifestation can and will fully materialize. And so now is the time that our resident practitioner, the Reverend Karen Giganti, is going to say a brief spiritual mind treatment for us.
Okay.
So let's just pause. Let's take a moment to breathe in through our nose and out through our mouth. And again, in through the nose and out through the mouth.
Okay. And so I'll speak this word for each one here and for everyone listening in on this program, to know that we are all walking in a new understanding, a clearer, richer, more joyful experience of life, of ourselves, and of our understanding of just how life works. Knowing and affirming there's only one. There's only one power, one presence. There's only one infinite source of all good. It's the wisdom, the energy, the love, the essence that created each one of us out of itself. And each one of us knows that we are one with all that is, that everything we need we already have. All the answers, all the direction, all the confidence, everything and anything that would move us forward easily and effortlessly is already here. It's contained within each and every one of us. So each one of us knows that we are spiritual beings having that human experience, and that we are more powerful beyond what we could ever comprehend. And so today we're just so grateful to know that we are uplifted, that we are moving forward in our understanding and in our consciousness of exactly what it is we'd like to manifest into our lives. Each one of us is able to clearly see ourselves surrounded by the conditions we'd like to create. Each one of us knows that Spirit is always with us, always listening, and always saying yes. Each one of us knows that there is no place we can go that Spirit is not. We are always surrounded, supported, and protected by this one and only power. And so today we are just so grateful. We're so grateful to be here. We're so grateful that we've been able to have this wonderful conversation. We're so grateful for all that we have learned. And so with love and gratitude, knowing this word is already so, this treatment is released into the law, and so it is.
And so it is. And in that consciousness of oneness and light and love, we're going to take a brief commercial break, and we'll be right back with Spirituality Rocks.
Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely guided. Peacefully, joyfully, I follow my inner guidance. Peacefully, joyfully.
For professional motorcycle transport and towing, think Kickstart Fabrications Motorcycle Towing. Proudly serving all of Long Island, we feature expert handling and 24/7 service. So send a limo for your toy with Kickstart Fabrications Motorcycle Towing.
Dad, where do babies come from?
Well, there's that big, shiny rocket ship. That's right, it's filled with babies of all kinds. And when the shiny rocket ship penetrates, Mommy and Dad goes, and when the time is just right, there's a space launch.
All systems go.
Babies of all kinds, released all over the place. Yeah, Africa. Well, mommy's Babylandia. That's right, it's filled with babies. After an amazing 9 months, babies. And that, son, is where babies come from.
But Jake said babies come from
Planet Babylandia.
You know, play
with us on the bus.
wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round.
Wheels on the bus go round and round, all through the town.
Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely guided. Peacefully, joyfully, I follow my inner guidance.
Welcome back to Spirituality Rocks. I'm delighted to be with our guest, the Reverend Dr. John Waterhouse, who's the president of the Centers for Spiritual Living. He's joining us on Skype in Colorado. And we have here the Reverend Karen Gigante is in the studio. We're at Madhouse TV Studios in Deer Park, Long Island, New York. Thank you so much for watching the show and telling your friends. The show is doing fantastic in terms of getting out into the world and reaching people. So I want to just remind you again, if you'd like a spiritual prescription, send us a self-addressed stamped envelope to Post Office Box 472, Woodbury, New York, 11797, and you can write on it exactly what you would like us to write an affirmation for you. Also, Tunes for Transformation is available at tunesfortransformation.com for $12.99, including postage. And there's spiritual jingles set to music, which are just fantastic. So I invite you to check that out. Also, Monday night is the Maverick Soul Hour, a fantastic show with the Woodstock Guru. So tune in and check out all the shows on Madhouse TV. I would like to remind you, you can pick up the book, 5 Steps to Freedom, an Introduction to Spiritual Mind Treatment at Amazon. Dr. John, we have about 2 minutes left. Would you please talk to the people about the Ministry of Prayer and the Wait.
What I want you to know is that you can go get one. You can receive one from a practitioner, from a minister, and it's really easy. You go to the website csl.org. csl.org. And when you go there, you'll be at the homepage of Centers for Spiritual Living. If you look on the right-hand side, there's a series of buttons. One says Prayer Ministry. If you click that button, it will open up and allow you to pick a practitioner or minister or someone who is a prayer expert anywhere in the United States, and they're listed by states. And you can go anywhere you'd like and either send an email or call on the telephone one of these individuals, and they will do a spiritual mind treatment for you. And if you do it by email, they will send you a written copy of it. So whichever way you'd like to do it, you can experience the power of this experience. It's amazing.
That's fantastic. And also you write in your book about the magazine, the Science of Mind magazine.
It's a great magazine. It has a daily guide, affirmations for the day. We have another magazine called Creative Thought that actually gives you a spiritual mind treatment every day. And those are available through the website as well.
Okay, and I know they happen to be available at my local bookstore. Yeah,
Yay.
That's great.
Yeah, fantastic. And so I just want to say a huge thank you. Just what an incredibly informative show. It was what I like to say, juicy. So thank you so much, the Reverend Karen Gigante from the Centers for Spiritual Living in Hicksville, Long Island. She is also with she's also with Sacred Spaces, and you do decorative painting.
Yeah.
And the Reverend Dr. John Waterhouse, my friend, I'm so grateful to have you with us. We bless you, we praise you, we appreciate you. And we also, tell us about that conference in February real quick.
Well, we have our annual Spiritual Living Conference. It will be in Orlando, February 16th through, I think, the 21st.
Okay.
If you want, you can find out about that under events at the same website, csl.org.
Right, and I also always invite my guests to check out newthought.org, newthought.org for more information on New Thought spiritual principles. Thank you again for joining us on Spirituality Rocks. Tell your friends about this show, and remember, the power is within you. This is the Reverend Dr. Janine Burns signing off. See you next week on Spirituality Rocks.